Well, nearly 2,000 National Guard troops are stationed in Washington, D.C. under President Donald Trump's orders with the help of 6 states sending troops to assist. And you bet Tennessee and Mississippi volunteered as tribute. Now, the Trump administration is saying it's all in an effort to get criminals off D.C. streets and make it safer, despite local reports of lower crime in the D.C. metro area. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves sent troops, of course. Now, there's some concern that we here in Memphis and the Shelby County area will find ourselves under the same enforcement in Memphis. This week, the local radio station KWAM AM 990 had a 20-minute call-in interview with Trump, where Todd Starnes asked about sending troops to Memphis. And Trump didn't rule it out and said he'd consider it since FBI Director Kash Patel labeled Memphis as the homicide capital of America per capita back in May. Memphis leaders have since debunked that statement, saying reported crime is trending down here. But here's what Memphis Democratic Representative Antonio Parkinson and Congressman Steve Cohen had to say.
This is politics and it's a power grab. And a lot of it, if you look at the pattern of who they're targeting, Democratic cities, Democratic states.
I'm afraid Memphis is in his sights, and they're going to try to come down here with the FBI or with other government officials or maybe even the National Guard. I don't think we need that. The Memphis Police Department has done a good job. That we've reduced violent crime considerably.
All right, back here now. Our sister station in D.C. also reported on Friday morning that the National Guard troops patrolling D.C. streets will start carrying firearms. And then in a press conference earlier today, which is Friday, Trump said that Chicago is now next. In this whole time, since this whole effort, there's been about 700 arrests. 200 of those alone have been immigrants. And so I'm going to ask you, Catherine. People in Memphis and Shelby County may not understand exactly what this looks like. So break it down a little bit for viewers. What differences could Memphians see if National Guard troops were on our streets?
Well, I wish I knew what it would look like, because I don't understand why they're going to D.C. I don't understand what exactly they're doing in D.C. I don't understand why now they're carrying firearms. D.C. isn't even in the top 30 cities for crime, for violent crime. So I don't know what they're doing there. So that doesn't lend me a lot of information to know what they would do if they came here. I do think I can say that if they came here, if we had National Guard troops from perhaps different states coming to Memphis, sent by the president, that would very much be an undermining of local authority. You wouldn't get your Memphis City Council people, your Memphis mayor, your Shelby County commissioners, probably even your state legislators. None of those people would be able to direct these entities coming into our city, and that's what we're seeing right now in D.C.
Tawan, are you, when we listen to Parkinson saying that it's targeting Democratic cities, African-American mayors, do you think there's truth to that?
I can only go by what I'm observing every day. 300,000 black women lost jobs between March and June. Now we're targeting mostly African-American cities. Our vote for this man was almost null and void. 92% black women voted for his opponent, and about 80% of black men did so. So I do think this is retribution. I do think this is retribution. But I'm also surprised that my Republican colleagues from across the aisle always believed in local control. And this is certainly making local control obsolete. There was a notion that you work with the local body, bring resources that they need, and coordinate an effort with them, but not to override them and roadhouse them. And that's what's happening here. A lot of the tactics that they're using in Washington, D.C. Has been stop and frisk, which was questionable in the early 2000s, and you will see a lot of people suffering as a result. I'm waiting to see the nature of these 700 arrests, because that will tell you if this is meaningful or not. Because if they're low level offenses, well then you have interrupted a family's household, income, getting attorneys, and made them poorer.
Powerful, Tawan.
I'm also very concerned by the fact that 200 of these arrests are immigrants. I'd like to know how are they identifying these people? Just recently, the Daily Memphian ran an opinion piece about a naturalized U.S. citizen who was stopped here in Memphis and questioned and terrified because he was Hispanic and he was identified based on appearance. So I would like to know if that's what's happening in D.C. and if that's what they want to bring here.
All things that need to be considered. Otis, when Tawan was talking about local leaders and decisions, Governor Bill Lee and Governor Tate Reeves are one of the two of the 6 states that sent troops to assist. What should voters think about that decision?
Well, I mean, obviously, there will be some voters who will say, right on, go ahead and do it. But let's look at the facts here. Governor Bill Lee and Governor Tate Reeves are just kowtowing to the president. And they will say, anything you want, Mr. President, we're willing to do. We'll send them to D.C., we will send them to the border, we'll send them to Halifax if you want. And that's not real leadership here. I'm sure that Republicans, the colleagues that you mentioned across the aisle, Tawan, like a Brent Taylor, for example, will say this is a good thing because he's been harping on crime in Memphis all along and making Memphis matter with fighting crime. So I'm sure he likes that. But the fact is, this is not needed. What Kash Patel said back in May was not true. We were not the homicide capital. You should have known that. And so this is just raw politics. I think Antonio Parkinson is right. This is a power move, raw politics. Retribution is a good term for it. And we just have go along to get along governors who are willing to do anything possible to appease this president.
How do you think the Memphians would respond if national troops are on these streets?
Now, Memphians won't safe streets.
They do.
Don't get me wrong. We won't safe streets, but we're also like for people's constitutional rights to be respected
That's
too.
right.
And there's a balancing act here.
That's right.
And that's why I said usually state or local, or federal government will work with the locals, find out what you need. How can we assist? Where do you want us to focus? That's not happening here in D.C. This is a takeover.
Right. Plus, I hadn't
Last
seen.
note here, Otis.
I had not seen what Kash Patel said back in May. They were going to send FBI agents down here. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I just think, again, that this is just raw politics at its worst, and we have a president that's doing what he wants to do to get back at people who did not vote for him.
Okay. All right. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about Shelby County's mayor and sheriff are at odds at the moment, and we'll tell you why. Stay with us.